Are you a prepper or a gardener? Well, then this video is for you. Either way. And actually, it's best because it's going to be blending these two concepts together with one really frugal hack. And that is going to save you a ton of money on gardening seeds and also prepare you with living, nutritious food. Hi, everybody. This is Aubrey from Crybabies on Homestead, and I've been thinking about posting this for a while. I actually do this frugal hack all the time, and it is a really great way to get your prepper pantry in order and also get seeds for as cheap as you possibly can. I regularly buy seeds from places like Baker Creek and other places, and I absolutely love looking at all the new seed varieties that they have for sale. And I spend a small fortune, to be honest. I'm really interested in all the different varieties, all the different plant things. Like, I'm just totally into it. And if you are too, then this is probably for you. But my big concept here, you guys, is that you can be a prepper and a gardener at the same time, simultaneously stocking up your seeds and also having food. Obviously, having a garden means you're going to have food, right? You garden most of the time. You're going to grow, your asparagus, cauliflower, kohlrabi, carrots, all that good stuff. But you're also going to do this in the wintertime, in the fall, all the time. So this is kind of an opposite situation than what probably most like doomsday preppers would tell you. They would tell you to get shelf-stable food that will last for thousands of years. I'm just kidding. Like decades. But what I'm actually asking you to get will not last that long, but will provide you a ton of food. And if you cycle through this inventory, you're going to have the most nutritious food you can possibly get. Yes, I know. Most preppers will tell you you should grow things that will last 30 years. But I would rather have nutritious food that will last a year or 3 years and then can get me more food. So do you have any food? Like if you take your white rice off the shelf and you try to plant it, it doesn't grow. Okay? And if you take your freeze-dried anything, and you try to plant it, it's not going to grow. Now, do I like the idea of freeze drying? Absolutely yes. And that's actually on my list of things I want to get in the future. But if you get this item for your pantry, you can also grow it. And what I'm talking to you about is the seeds for microgreens or sprouts. You can get a half a pound, 3 pounds, 5 pounds, 10 pounds, etc. And you get the seeds in bulk. Now, they're not going to be like a specific variety. I'm really surprised that more preppers aren't talking about growing your own food indoors in the wintertime and fall and wintertime, like growing your own microgreens, because you can have like a 5-pound bag of microgreens, sprout them, and have fresh greens to put on your salads, sandwiches, whatever, put it in your soup all year long. Okay, especially during the winter and fall when actual fresh produce is scarce. But then when you have what you have left, you can actually plant. And then when you plant that, you can also save seeds from it. So it becomes something that's much more self-sustaining. I love the idea of buying some seeds in bulk. I do cherish the fancy varieties, the really special heirlooms that I collect from Baker Creek and other sources. But if you want to have a ton of a certain type of crop, then this is really the cheapest way you're ever going to get your seeds. In fact, you can get seeds for pennies or multiple seeds for a penny, hundreds of seeds for a penny, even over 1,000 seeds for a penny. It's ridiculous. If you calculate how many seeds are in a pound and how many pounds you got, and then figure out how much money you paid per pound and so forth, you will discover that you are getting just a ridiculously good value by buying seeds this way. And even if you only buy a few varieties, like maybe you buy the radish seeds or you buy rutabaga seeds or something like that, you can get a ton of seeds for a very great bargain. In this video, I'm looking at 3 types of seeds, which are all like very, very similar. They're all different types of clover. Let me get into why I think this is a really good idea. Clovers are nitrogen fixers, so you literally are getting such a huge value from this. So some of the flowers can be edible. I'm not 100% sure on the crimson clover. Please pop a comment below if you know. The research I've been doing so far has been saying that you can use it, but I don't know for sure. I don't have firsthand experience with crimson clover as using it as a food source for animals or humans. I have used crimson clover as a nitrogen fixer to feed the plants around them and as a really great crop to grow in between my trees, bushes, and so forth. It pulls in the pollinators. It's beautiful. It's an attractive plant. So I've been growing it for that reason. But now I've got pounds of crimson clover seeds. So it's going to be a lot of fun spreading them all over the place in my property and making sure that my soil is just the best possible quality. For the white and red clovers, the flowers are edible. And not just that, I remember being a little kid and actually picking off the little petals and then sucking on them because they were sweet. So the white and the purple, they say that's red clover, but it's really purple. The red and purple clovers, and those actually have that little white chevron on the leaves. Be careful what you're using. Make sure you do your own research. You know, I'm just on YouTube sharing my personal experience, and other people are doing the same thing. So you need to check for yourself. Get a plant identification guide online and check it out. But I've used clover as a nitrogen fixer on my property for decades. And I've fed my white clover and red clover, which looks purple, to my chickens and in the past rabbits and guinea pigs and other animals. So they absolutely love it. I don't give that to them like in a huge quantity, but they love it, especially the flowers. But we like those too, so they have to share. Anyway, it's just a lot of fun, and it makes a really great ground cover. This is a crimson clover seed. It looks like it's got a little bit of pest damage, so that one's not going to be any good. But I saved a whole cup of crimson clover seed, and you see the chaff is in there with it. I'm not going to worry about the chaff. I'll just plant this the way it is. And I will get lots of plants out of this. This is something I can do to keep them going. But I can buy them in bulk and get a ton, and the seeds are clean. They don't have any chaff in them. So that's going to be what I do to get tons and tons of seed. But I'm still going to gather my seed at the end of like a summer or whatever, and gather them when they're dry, keep them nice and dry, and I will plant these. I'm not going to bother taking the chaff off because it's too time consuming. But I did want to show you what it looks like. And the seeds are super tiny. Now, all of the seeds are not going to be good because, like I showed you, some of the seeds have been eaten up a little bit by some bugs. But I'm going to go ahead and plant these, and I'm sure I'm going to get plenty out of them. However, I'm going to have hundreds of thousands of seeds from the bulk ones I bought online. Let's check those out. And I said I'd show you, but this is the cheapest way to get a lot of seeds. I went on to Walmart.com and I searched for sprouting seeds, and I got just masses of seeds. This is 5 pounds of crimson clover. Beautiful, absolute beautiful flowers. These plants actually form like almost a bush. They're tall compared to other clovers. They're really beautiful. They've got big, bright red flowers. They're not red clover. They're crimson clover. Red clover is actually purple. So weird, right? But this is crimson clover. They don't have that little chevron mark on the leaves. And they are beloved by pollinators. Beautiful, beautiful. And so I got 5 pounds of it. Because they're a nitrogen fixer, I'm going to plant these around my fruit and nut trees as a way to naturally fertilize them. And kind of make that kind of permaculture guild scenario. I won't have to mow the lawn around them. They'll outcompete the weeds and other things that are in the way. And just be absolutely beautiful. Beautiful and stunning. And I won't have to be stingy with my seeds or worry about it too much because I have so many. And I can also pack them up and give them as gifts. And then I also got in here 3 pounds of white Ladino clover seed. And I usually get, I think it's the Dutch white clover. 3 pounds though. It's really good for, like I said before, weed suppressant, even listed here. Good erosion control and weed suppressant. And it's really great for growing around, and it says around berry patches. I'm going to grow some around my raspberries because it is a nightmare to try to weed those things. It's just a thorny, painful mess, and I always get so much grass. So as I plant new patches of raspberries, I'm going to plant clover all around them so that it will outcompete hopefully the crabgrass, which is a nightmare. So this white clover, and then I also got red clover. So this is red clover, but whenever I grow it, it turns out kind of more purple than it does in the picture. In the picture, it looks really pink, but it can be pink or purple, and it's called red clover. It's a different cultivar, a different type of plant than the crimson clover, which is that one. I've grown these two just wild on accident, and I've grown the crimson clover on purpose. But I want to fill any patches where my dogs have dug, I'm going to fill with clover. And any areas where I have, like, along the edges of my fences, which we don't like to, like, weed eat next to the fence because it can damage the fence, which is like a shared property thing. So my plan is to plant clover along all of the edges of our property, along fence lines, around fruit trees, around anything that needs a lot of nitrogen. So I've got the red clover, the white clover, and the crimson clover. Over and over. Crimson clover. You know that song. Over and over. Okay. Anyway, so I've got, how many pounds of this one? Does it say? And it does have good information on it too. This one's 5 pounds. So I've got 13 pounds of seeds in this box. When you buy a packet of seeds, it's like $3, $4, $5 for just a little bit of seeds. And you can imagine I have like millions of seeds right here because I've got 13 pounds of clover seed. Now these two for sure, the white and the red, which is actually kind of like a pink or purple. These two for sure I feed to my hens. They love it. When we had rabbits, I would feed a little bit of clover. They absolutely love the flowers. I don't know about crimson clover. I've been doing some research. If you search the white and the red clover, you're going to find a lot more than you'll find on the crimson clover. I'm not sure why that is. These two have the chevron on the leaves, which is the way to tell the edible varieties of clover. I don't know about crimson clover. If you want to comment below, I'm still researching that, but I've grown these from seed and I've collected seeds to plant from my own plants, but I got tons of masses more because I want to plant it just literally everywhere. Especially I have made this like little permaculture guild on part of my property where I have all kinds of fruit trees. It's really hard for me to get to that area. So I really want to plant things that can take care of themselves, and I also don't want to have to put anything in, so like no inputs. So once these get growing around there, I won't have to feed those plants. So
That's super exciting. But I can use a little bit of these plants as animal fodder, which is excellent. I'm not using the crimson clover because I just don't know for sure, and I don't want to take any risks to hurt an animal. But do some research on that one. I'm still researching it. I did find a few resources saying that it was edible for animals, but I just don't want to take any risks, and you shouldn't either. So the white and the purple, or the white and the red. The red is actually purple and pink. But, and the seeds here are so much smaller. These two are so much smaller than the crimson. But this is how I get super, super duper cheap seeds, is by buying them in bulk like this. This one here is actually Willamette Valley grown, which is awesome. That's in Oregon. It's also non-GMO, which it should be. Same company here, Willamette Valley. And this one here is also the Willamette Valley. And I'm not sure how to say the name. E-R-E-L-Z, eretz.com, or it's a E-R-E-T-Z. Crimson clover. And it does say trifolium as the genus. So that's good. They're all trifoliums. So, you see the scientific name here? So we have the crimson clover is Trifolium incarnatum. And then the white clover is Trifolium repens. And then the red clover is Trifolium pretense. So, hopefully I'm saying that correctly. But we all are familiar with clover. And won't you have so much fun entertaining yourself looking for a 4-leaf clover in all of this? It would be so much fun. Anyhow, I'm planning on planting this on my property as well as a 5-acre property that is non-buildable, so I can fertilize my plants there without having to go back and forth between the two places. So, love it. This is cheap, super cheap. It's usually when you buy bulk seeds, you get them for about $10 to $15 per pound. Imagine how many seed packets that would be. Just tons and tons and tons. So, super cheap way of getting your seeds and fertilizing your plants too.
For the white and red clovers, the flowers are edible. And not just that, I remember being a little kid and actually picking off the little petals and then sucking on them because they were sweet. So the white and the purple, they say that's red clover, but it's really purple. The red and purple clovers, and those actually have that little white chevron on the leaves. Be careful what you're using. Make sure you do your own research. You know, I'm just on YouTube sharing my personal experience, and other people are doing the same thing. So you need to check for yourself. Get a plant identification guide online and check it out. But I've used clover as a nitrogen fixer on my property for decades. And I've fed my white clover and red clover, which looks purple, to my chickens and in the past rabbits and guinea pigs and other animals. So they absolutely love it. I don't give that to them like in a huge quantity, but they love it, especially the flowers. But we like those too, so they have to share. Anyway, it's just a lot of fun, and it makes a really great ground cover. In another video, I'm going to share with you some other seed varieties I've gotten in bulk that has just been a tremendous value. But I'm telling you right now, the value that I have gotten on these seeds is absolutely mind-boggling. You will buy a packet of seeds for $4, $3 or $4 for like 50 seeds. And I'm getting literally more than that for a penny. So it is wonderful. However, you have to buy a lot of it. So you're probably spending about average about $15 per pound. The more you get, the less you pay per pound, right? It's kind of like how it works. But anyway, I love it. I think it's a great idea. And if you have a friend who's into this too, you could buy one variety, they could buy the other, and you could do halvesies. So that's a really good idea to make it stretch a little bit further. But if you're buying varieties that are good for sprouting, if it's marketed as meant for being microgreens, You're going to have this for your salads, for on your topping for your, instead of lettuce, you can use it on your sandwiches, in soups, and all these different things, different recipes you can use them for. So you're going to get all of that, all those vitamins and nutrients. And you also have seeds left over for putting in your garden, using it as nitrogen fixing for your plants. So it's going to be multiple uses: food, flowers, green manure, and food for your fodder for your animals. So just too many uses to even list here. I hope that you've liked this video so far. You know what I like to say at the end of my videos: be good, be sweet, grow a garden if you want to eat. I'll see you next time.